Namaste and welcome. This video is especially created for those who are preparing Teachers Service Commission examination of secondary level English subject. This video is based on the curriculum of Teachers Service Commission examination of secondary level English subject. I hope this video will help you to excel your knowledge on different contents asked in the TSC second paper examination.
This video is about teaching and testing grammar. This video includes mainly introduction of grammar, key components of grammar, approaches of teaching grammar, classroom activities for teaching grammar, testing, evaluating grammar, key considerations for evaluating grammar, and conclusion. Let's start from the definition of grammar. Grammar is the foundational system governing the structure of a language. It encompasses the rules for forming words morphology and combining them into meaningful phrases and sentences syntax. This includes principles of word order, word forms like verb tenses and noun plurals, and the relationships between different parts of a sentence. Grammar acts as the underlying framework that enables clear and effective communication, ensuring that language is not just a collection of words, but a coherent and understandable expression of thought. Mastering grammar is essential for both producing and comprehending language accurately. The key components of grammar. The key components of grammar are the fundamental building blocks and rules that govern how a language is structured. These include morphology. This deals with the internal structure of words and how they are formed. It examines morphemes, the smallest units of meaning, prefixes, suffixes, inflections, changes in word form to indicate grammatical function like tense or number, and how these combine to create different word forms. Syntax. This focuses on how words are combined to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. It governs word order, sentence structure, for example subject-verb-object, and the relationships between different elements within a sentence, for example agreement, government. Parts of speech word classes. These are categories of words that share similar grammatical properties and functions within a sentence. Common parts of speech include nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. Understanding these categories is crucial for sentence construction. Phrases. These are groups of related words that function as a unit within a sentence, but typically lack both a subject and a verb, for example the big red ball, running quickly, in the garden. Different types of phrases, noun phrases, verb phrases, prepositional phrases, etc. play specific roles in sentence structure. Clauses. These are groups of related words that contain both a subject and a verb. Sentences are made up of one or more clauses. There are independent clauses can stand alone as a sentence, and dependent clauses cannot stand alone. Sentence structure, sentence types. This involves understanding the different patterns and purposes of sentences, such as simple sentences, compound sentences, two independent clauses joined, complex sentences, one independent and one or more dependent clauses, and compound complex sentences. Agreement concord. This refers to the grammatical rule that certain words in a sentence must match in form, for example subject-verb agreement in number and person, tense, aspect, and mood for verbs. These categories indicate when an action takes place, tense, how the action unfolds in time, aspect, and the speaker's attitude towards the action, mood. Voice for verbs. This indicates whether the subject of the verb performs the action, active voice, or is acted upon, passive voice. Punctuation. While technically part of writing conventions, punctuation marks often signal grammatical structure and relationships between parts of a sentence, contributing significantly to meaning. Understanding these key components provides a solid foundation for both analyzing and producing grammatically correct and meaningful language. They work together to create the intricate system that allows us to communicate effectively. Now, let's move to the approaches of teaching grammar. There are several approaches to teaching grammar in language learning, each with its own philosophy and techniques. Here are some of the most common ones. 1. Grammar translation method. Focus. Explicit teaching of grammatical rules in the learner's native language, followed by translation exercises between the target language and the native language. Techniques. Rule explanation, memorization of grammar tables and vocabulary lists, translation of sentences and texts. Prose. Provides a strong understanding of grammatical structures, helpful for analyzing language. Cons. Often criticized for being decontextualized, focusing on reading and writing over speaking and listening, and not promoting communicative fluency. 2. Direct method natural approach. Focus, immersion in the target language, with minimal or no use of the learner's native language. Grammar is taught inductively through examples and practice. Techniques, using the target language for all classroom interactions, demonstration, visuals, relia, question-answer sessions, and inductive grammar learning. Pros, promotes fluency and natural language use, develops oral communication skills. Cons, can be challenging for beginners, may not provide a systematic understanding of complex grammar, and relies heavily on the teacher's proficiency. 3. Audiolingual method, focus, habit formation through repetition, and pattern drills. Grammar is taught implicitly through these drills. Techniques, repetition drills, substitution drills, transformation drills, chain drills, dialogues, and memorization of set phrases. Pros, develops accurate pronunciation and automaticity in basic sentence patterns. Cons, can be mechanical and decontextualized, may not foster communicative competence beyond basic structures, and often lacks meaningful interaction. For communicative language teaching, CLT or focus, using the target language for meaningful communication and authentic tasks. Grammar is taught integratively and as needed to facilitate communication. Techniques, role plays, simulations, problem-solving tasks, information gap activities, discussions, and project work. Grammar is addressed within these communicative contexts. Pros, develops communicative competence, increases motivation and engagement, and promotes learner autonomy. Cons, may lead to less explicit and systematic grammar instruction, potentially resulting in fossilization of errors if not addressed. 5. Task-based language teaching, TBLT. Focus, learning through the completion of real-world tasks that require learners to use the target language communicatively. Grammar is addressed as a tool to complete the task. Techniques, pre-task activities, task completion, post-task analysis, including focus on form, and recycling of language. Pros, highly communicative and engaging, promotes learner autonomy, and integrates language skills. Cons, requires careful task design and teacher guidance to ensure grammar learning occurs effectively. 6. Focus on form font. Focus, integrating attention to grammatical form within communicative activities. This can be done reactively addressing errors as they occur or proactively briefly highlighting specific grammatical features. Techniques, teacher feedback, error correction, noticing activities, consciousness-raising tasks, and brief grammar explanations embedded in communicative contexts. Pros, balances communicative practice with explicit attention to grammar, can improve accuracy without sacrificing fluency. Cons, requires skillful teacher implementation to integrate grammar effectively without disrupting communication. 7. Inductive approach. Focus, learners discover grammatical rules themselves by analyzing examples of language in context. Techniques, providing learners with texts or examples containing a specific grammatical feature and guiding them to identify patterns and formulate the rule. Pros, promotes deeper understanding and retention of grammar rules, encourages learner autonomy and critical thinking. Cons, can be time-consuming and may not be suitable for all learners or all grammatical structures. 8. Deductive approach. Focus, the teacher explicitly explains a grammatical rule, and then learners practice applying it through exercises. Techniques, rule explanation, examples, controlled practice exercises for example drills, gap fill. Pros, efficient for teaching complex rules, can provide a clear framework for understanding. Cons, can be less engaging and may not lead to automaticity in real communication. The best approach often depends on the learner's age, learning styles, proficiency level, the specific grammatical structure being taught, and the overall goals of the language program. Many effective teachers use a principled eclectic approach, drawing on techniques from various methods to create engaging and effective grammar lessons within a communicative framework. Now, let's discuss on impactful classroom activities for developing grammar in children. Teaching grammar to young children needs to be engaging, fun, and contextualized. Abstract rules can be difficult for them to grasp, so activities should be hands-on and interactive. Here are some classroom activities and techniques. 1. Games and movement. Let's see some examples. A. Action verbs charades. Write action verbs jump, run, eat, sleep on cards. Children act them out, and others guess the verb. This connects the word with a physical action. B. Simon says with prepositions, use prepositions on, under, in, next to. Simon says, put your hands on your head. This makes prepositions interactive. C. Noun sorting. Have baskets labeled with categories: animals, people, places, things. Provide picture cards and have children sort them into the correct baskets. This makes nouns concrete. 2. Visual aids and manipulatives. Let's see some examples. A. Picture sentence building. Provide pictures and word cards. Children arrange the words to form simple sentences about the picture. This helps with word order. B. Color-coded grammar. Use different colored cards for different parts of speech. For example, blue for nouns, green for verbs, yellow for adjectives. Children can build sentences using the colored cards. C. Story stones. Use stones with simple pictures on them. Children create a story and then write simple sentences about the pictures, focusing on subject-verb agreement or using descriptive adjectives. 3. Storytelling and context. Let's see some examples. A. Interactive story reading. Read a story aloud, pausing to focus on specific grammatical structures, for example past tense verbs. Ask children how the story would change if the action happened now. B. Silly sentence creation. Provide a basic sentence frame, for example the, and have children fill in the blanks with different parts of speech, often with humorous results. This helps them understand the function of different word types. C. Character interviews. After reading a story, have children role-play interviewing a character, focusing on using specific verb tenses or asking questions correctly. 4. Music and rhyme, such as A. Grammar songs. Use catchy songs that reinforce grammatical rules, for example songs about pronouns, articles, or verb conjugations. Music makes learning memorable. B. Rhyming games. Focus on verb endings, for example aed for past tense or noun plurals s. Create simple rhymes together. 5. Repetition and pattern practice in fun ways, like A. Choral repetition with actions. Say a sentence with a specific grammatical structure and have children repeat it while doing a related action. For example, I am walking, children walk in place. B. Sentence building blocks. Provide sentence starters and have children add different elements, adjectives, adverbs to expand the sentences. Practicing sentence structure. 6. Error correction, gentle and focused, as for example, A. Recasting. Instead of directly correcting, rephrase the child's incorrect sentence correctly. For example, if a child says he go, you say yes, he goes to the park. B. Focus on one error at a time. Don't correct every mistake. Choose one specific grammar point to focus on during an activity. 7. Authentic communication, such as A. Classroom routines. Use daily routines, for example, morning greetings, asking for help, as opportunities to model and practice correct grammar in a meaningful context. B. As simple instructions. Give clear and grammatically correct instructions for classroom activities. Testing. Evaluating grammar. Here are some of the best ways and techniques to test or evaluate grammar effectively. 1. Multiple choice questions, MCQs. Technique. Present a sentence with a grammatical error or a blank and offer several options, only one of which is grammatically correct. Evaluates recognition of correct grammatical forms and structures. Example: they. To the park yesterday. A. Go be go see went D going. 2. To fill in the blanks. Technique. Provide sentences with missing words and ask students to fill in the blanks with the correct grammatical form. Evaluates recall and production of correct grammatical forms in context. Example: she be a teacher for 10 years. Answer: has been. 3. Error identification. Correction. Technique. Present sentences with one or more grammatical errors and ask students to identify and correct the mistakes. Evaluates ability to recognize and rectify grammatical errors. Example: he don't like pizza. Correction: he doesn't like pizza. 4. Sentence transformation. Combination. Technique. Ask students to change the structure of a sentence, for example, active to passive, direct to indirect speech, or combine to simple sentences into a more complex one. Evaluates understanding of grammatical rules and the ability to manipulate sentence structure. Example transformation: the dog chased the cat. Change to passive voice: the cat was chased by the dog. Example combination: the sun was shining. The birds were singing. Combine using a conjunction: the sun was shining and the birds were singing. 5. Close procedure grammar focus technique. Provide a passage with systematic deletions of grammatical words, for example articles, prepositions, auxiliary verbs, and ask students to fill in the missing words. Evaluates understanding of grammatical function words and sentence structure in context. 6. Controlled writing tasks technique. Assign short writing tasks that specifically require the use of particular grammatical structures being tested. Provide clear prompts that guide the use of those structures. Evaluates ability to apply grammatical rules accurately in productive writing. Example, write 3 sentences using different past tense forms: simple past, past continuous, past perfect. 7. Oral production tasks technique. Observe students' spoken language during discussions, role plays, or presentations, focusing on their accurate use of grammar. This can be assessed using a rubric. Evaluates spontaneous and communicative use of grammar. 8. Gap-fill dictation technique. Read sentences aloud with specific grammatical words missing and ask students to write down the missing words. Evaluates listening comprehension and knowledge of grammatical forms. 9. Sentence ordering technique. Provide a set of scrambled words and ask students to arrange them into grammatically correct sentences. Evaluates understanding of word order and sentence structure. 10. Error analysis of student writing technique. Collect samples of students' regular writing and analyze the types of grammatical errors they consistently make. Evaluates real-world application of grammar and identification of recurring problem areas for individual students or the class. Key considerations for evaluating grammar: contextualization. Whenever possible, test grammar within meaningful contexts rather than in isolated sentences. Focus. Clearly define the specific grammatical points being assessed. Variety. Use a range of techniques to evaluate different aspects of grammatical knowledge recognition, production, application. Level appropriateness. Ensure the test items are suitable for the student's age and language proficiency level. Clear instructions. Provide clear and concise instructions for each task. Feedback. Provide timely and specific feedback to help students understand their errors and learn from them. By employing a combination of these methods, educators can gain a comprehensive understanding of students' grammatical competence and tailor their instruction accordingly. In conclusion, teaching grammar effectively involves engaging learners with clear explanations, contextualized examples, and varied practice activities. The goal is not rote memorization, but rather the development of an intuitive understanding of how language structures function for meaningful communication. Testing grammar should mirror this approach, moving beyond isolated rules to assess application in context through diverse methods like gap fills, error correction, and controlled writing. Effective assessment provides valuable feedback for both learners and teachers, guiding instruction and fostering a deeper, more practical grasp of grammatical principles essential for overall language proficiency. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, comment. If you are watching the video for the first time, please subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.